Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Ingram, DSCA President and Community Engagement Subcommittee Co-Chair for the Redding Consortium. We want to welcome you to the virtual Community Engagement Subcommittee meeting. We're glad to have you join us this evening. As a reminder, please announce your name before speaking to identify yourself. Please mute yourself when not speaking. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be posted for the public. Subcommittee members, please type your name in the chat for roll call. As a reminder, educational leaders and students from the University of Delaware's Institute for Public Administration and Delaware State University are here as staff members to provide support for the Redding Consortium. Here's an overview of the presentation for tonight's meeting. We will discuss the updates from the past several months regarding the consortium's redistricting planning process. Then we will review the feedback received from the recent community engagement events. Afterwards, as a subcommittee, we will review and discuss the 3 redistricting options for consideration. This will be followed by public comments and then a recap and next steps for the subcommittee. The meeting minutes from the Community Engagement Subcommittee meeting on April 15th, 2025 were emailed to the subcommittee members for review. The consortium hosted 3 Strong Schools town halls in May 2025 to hear from the community about their values and key priorities for strengthening public education in the city of Bloomington and northern Newcastle County. The consortium hosted 2 subcommittee retreats to discuss redistricting planning in collaboration with the 3 redistricting subcommittees. During these retreats, the subcommittee members reviewed data and research from the social drivers of health and education landscape analysis. The process at our retreats has been for the subcommittee members to review the data and information presented about each of the options, and then to recommend to the consortium the options to prioritize for further consideration. And then the full body of the consortium votes to affirm narrowing these options. The consortium hosted 2 full body meetings in May and July to affirm the narrowed list of redistricting options prioritized for further consideration. We hosted a community co-interpretation event with AIR in September to provide an overview of the key findings and insights from the Social Drivers Report. We had a strong turnout of community members in attendance at this event to review and provide feedback on these findings. AIR is currently working to incorporate the community's feedback into the revised report. We hosted 2 educator advisory panel town halls to hear from educators and school staff their feedback about the options and how to best support educators' needs and concerns during this process. Here are some of the key takeaways from the Strong Schools Town Hall hosted last spring that we heard from the community. Schools as hubs, central pillars of the community with strong partnerships to address inequality. High quality schools, small classes, personalized support, and strong relationships. Family engagement, remove barriers, amplify family voice, especially in high poverty and trauma-impacted areas. Teacher retention and recruitment, prioritize climate, mentorship, and workforce diversity. At the March retreat, the subcommittees recommended deprioritizing any of the single district expansion options, such as Brandywine, Colonial, or Red Clay. That would be responsible for serving the entire city of Bloomington. The consortium voted to affirm this recommendation at the full body meeting in May. At the July 14th retreat, AIR provided an overview of the preliminary data modeling for the 6 redistricting scenarios. During the data modeling review session, AIR provided a high-level overview of the variables for the data comparisons of these options and presented school choice data, student demographic data, and the context for reviewing the modeling scenarios. After reviewing this modeling data and the community feedback from the Strong School town halls, the consortium hosted in May, the subcommittee members at the June retreat supported recommending the following redistricting options: Northern Newcastle County Consolidated District, Metropolitan Wilmington District, Brandywine and Red Clay Consolidated School District. This is the map of the proposed borders for the Northern Newcastle County Consolidated District. This is a map of the proposed boundaries of the Metropolitan Wilmington School District. The Brandywine and Red Clay School District option has 3 potential variations for the proposed boundaries. The existing boundaries, assigning the existing Christina Wilmington geographic footprint to Red Clay, and assigning the existing colonial Wilmington footprint to Brandywine. In the river model, the current Red Clay boundaries in the city of Wilmington would expand to include students residing in the city of Wilmington south and west of the Brandywine Creek, which are currently portions of Christina and the Colonial School District. The current Brandywine boundaries in the city of Wilmington would expand to include students residing north and east of the Brandywine Creek, currently portions of Christina and Colonial School District. In the modified river model, Red Clay keeps Lewis Elementary School, Joseph E. Johnson Jr. Elementary School, Shortledge Academy, and Warner Elementary School. The consortium voted to affirm the top 3 redistricting options to prioritize at the July full body meeting. These decisions were informed by the district modeling data of the options that are the most equitable for students and families. The 3 subcommittees for redistricting are currently conducting research to recommend a single recommended option. This includes gathering information and data about the 3 options at a high level and working to address the 13 stipulations required in a final redistricting plan. The Discretionary Recommendations Committee is the working group tasked with working on the big ideas, which are the policy reforms outside of changing school boundary lines to improve educational outcomes for the city of Wilmington students. They have discussed the following policy areas and approved the following resolutions: enhanced wraparound services, premium pay for educators teaching in high-need schools, middle school and high school supports for 9th through 12th grade students residing in the city of Wilmington. The committee reviewed 2 resolutions at the meeting yesterday: the expansion of pre-K programs, specialized programs in the city of Wilmington schools, and the retention and recruitment of special needs paraprofessionals working in high-need schools. Over the past several months, the Redding Consortium has been working with the American Institute for Research to better understand how conditions outside of school, like housing, transportation, safety, access to healthcare, affect students' health and education. As part of their qualitative data work, AIR has conducted interviews and focus groups with local communities to hear about the impact of social drivers on students and families in the city of Wilmington and northern Newcastle County. AIR has partnered with the Center for Structural Equity to incorporate youth-led, community-grounded research into the landscape analysis. Based on the interviews and focus groups, the top 4 social drivers impacting students' educational experiences are public safety, mental health, housing, and transportation.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I'll present the rest of the slides about the landscape analysis that's conducted by the American Institute for Research. So these maps show where City of Wilmington students currently reside and which school districts they attend in the current 4-district model system. You can see the student population density based on the dots representing City of Wilmington students on the map. The following maps visually display where City of Wilmington students attend traditional public schools and charter schools across the city. Through their research, AAR found that currently 84% of students currently attend schools in the city of Wilmington, Red Clay, or Brandywine. Here's an overview of the student demographics in each of the 4 districts, where City of Wilmington students currently reside, and the percentage of who attend, where they attend their assigned school district. And you can see in terms of the map listed below, where students are currently attending their assigned school, and based on the districts, a greater percentage of students attending their assigned school in Red Clay or Brandywine when compared to Christina and Colonial. In every district, students are not accessing this school choice system and attending their assigned schools, or disproportionately students who are experiencing poverty, students with disabilities, and African-American students. And we found that that was important to highlight too in terms of the experiences of City of Wilmington students under the 4-district system. The neighborhood trends for students experiencing poverty underscore the current lived realities of the conditions impacting students and their families outside of school. And you can see that highlighted here by geographic area as well. The following three maps highlight the distribution of students and the varied distribution of resources for after-school programs, housing support services, and mental health services for students. A more unified approach through redistricting can help create a more cohesive system of wraparound services supports for students and their families. This map provides an overview of significant challenges the City of Wilmington families face in accessing after-school and summer programs for their children, including high costs, lack of safe transportation, and a reduced number of programs. And that's visually displayed on the map on the right as well. The impact of chronic absenteeism for students is often directly connected to social drivers, such as public safety, housing stability, and access to transportation, and that can affect educational outcomes for students outside of school. AAR has collected data for over 8,000 students who live in the city of Wilmington in the year of 2022, and who are enrolled in school in Delaware for the following 3 years. And so as you can see listed on this graphic below, these are the trends that highlight the impact of the social drivers on student mobility. The following quote on the screen from a school staff member sheds light on the lived experiences of city students who have changed schools and whose families are navigating the four-district system. And I think it's important to highlight below. It says, "And when I see kids moving around, I always wonder about the gaps. If you left off here in the curriculum, where are you going to be when you go to the next school? So what happens with those gaps? Will there be gaps? And how will a kid make up those gaps?" And AAR has shared information about how the social drivers landscape analysis can help inform the redistricting plan. And so the 13 stipulations that the Redding Consortium must address, this graphic shows kind of a crosswalk of how that directly connects with their work on the social drivers data, and that's highlighted in yellow below. As a part of our status update about redistricting, I also wanted to share an overview of the consortium's proposed process timeline. These are some of the key dates and milestones for our work between now and June of next year. The Redding Consortium will host our third and final retreat on October 28th, which will be a working cell retreat with the full body to review the data collected by the subcommittees, to analyze the pros and cons of each model and the distinctions between them, review the community's feedback, and the preliminary cost estimates for these models that we're still currently collecting. And the retreat will focus on building consensus amongst the members. AAR has completed their final report for the landscape analysis, and we'll share that with everyone soon as well. In November, the consortium will convene at their next full body meeting on November 6th to take a formal vote on the options to narrow down for one final redistricting plan. We will then work to develop a draft redistricting plan. And in November, we'll work to finalize the redistricting plan with AAR's findings. Along with that, we'll also provide a preliminary cost estimates from the Controller General's office about the cost for these plans as well. In December, we are tentatively planning to host public hearings in each of the affected school districts, December or January. And on December 6th, the Redding full body will vote on a final redistricting plan. In January 2026, our goal is to submit a final plan to the State Board of Education by January or February. And the State Board has up to 90 days to review a plan as stipulated in the Delaware Code. We would also send the final plan to the Controller General's office in January 2026 to affirm the plan's costs. In May 2026, if the plan is approved by the State Board of Education, then the redistricting plan would be submitted to the General Assembly in May. And then in June 2026, the General Assembly would vote on the redistricting plan. Please note that the transition and implementation process would occur following the passage of any redistricting plan, where the Redding Consortium would work with impacted districts on this process. And now we'll present a high-level overview of the community feedback we've received at recent community engagement events. And I'll turn it back over to Stephanie to talk us through this.
The Community Engagement Subcommittee has worked on the creation of an educator advisory panel to ensure educator needs and voices are involved and reflected in the final plan. The Educator Advisory Panel is part of the Community Engagement Subcommittee's collaborative work to ensure educator needs and voices are involved and reflected in the final redistricting plan. Advisory panel members were recommended by their local presidents or by the DSCA UNISERV directors. Here is a high-level overview of the impact of our town halls, the number of educator and and school staff engaged, and the participation by educators in the impacted city schools in Wilmington and across northern Newcastle County. We asked 3 questions at the town halls. The first focused on getting feedback about the 3 options and how to best support educator needs. The second question asked for specific feedback on how to best support students, educators, and community members during the planning process. And the third question involved getting feedback on the approved resolutions from the Discretionary Recommendations Committee. In terms of feedback we received on the 3 options, here are the main themes listed below. There was no clear consensus on the models, but several important distinctions between each that are highlighted here. Here are some of the main themes we heard regarding educator and community supports. Student needs must drive decisions in any plan that's going to be considered. Transparency and inclusion are critical to build trust with educators. Financial considerations are a core component of this process and will impact educators and the broader community. Redistricting planning impacts extend beyond buildings, and we must understand that any potential impacts to educators, families, and school communities beyond looking only at the district lines and buildings. The following slide highlights the key takeaways from the 2 town halls regarding supporting educator needs, building trust among educators and school staff, and working to address the systemic issues outside of school that are impacting students and families as part of this process. The feedback also underscores the importance of investing in student and community needs, more broader community engagement to meet families where they are, and addressing the equity concerns to determine how to better support and meet the needs of City of Wilmington students. These next few slides capture the feedback we have heard about potential transition and implementation considerations when a final option is chosen and when the final plan development begins. It specifically includes logistical considerations for potentially consolidating districts and student-centered considerations as well. Educator compensation, seniority, benefits, and job concerns amid a transition came up repeatedly as one of the top issues of concern on the town hall. Some of the feedback is listed on this slide. We hear these concerns and acknowledge that these will be important considerations that the consortium will address and work with the impacted districts while continuing to engage educators and staff. Listed on this slide are some concerns elevated about education support staff and ensuring inclusion for special education students' needs. The operational and logistical concerns listed here are as well in terms of program and curriculum integration for any district consolidation. I'll turn it over to Elena.
So in addition to the work that we've been doing to engage educators through the Educator Advisory Panel town halls, we've also had parent engagement efforts that have been led by Helen Anderson, who's a WLC Council co-chair, WLC Council chair, Kendra Brown, who's a PACE president, and Dr. O, who's the director of the Office of Educational Advocacy for Wilmington City Council. And they've been a group that's been empowered to by the Redding Consortium to engage the broader community and educating them about the importance of redistricting and potential impacts to students and families. And we also wanted to highlight and elevate the work of the Wilmington Interagency Collaboration, which was created by the Office of Educational Advocacy and Dr. O, and which was founded by Wilmington City Council. And they've been working to engage groups across the city of Wilmington to have more unified approach to supporting City of Wilmington students and making sure that they have the resources they need to succeed. So some of those groups highlighted here are the Redding Consortium, Wilmington Learning Collaborative, the Mayor's Office, and the Wilmington Center for Education Equity and Policy. And they've been meeting for the past several months to kind of talk through how to best support students and their needs and creating that unified vision. The parent engagement group has also worked to create a parent engagement one-pager, which we've also shared and we can share more broadly as well, in consultation with First Ascent, designed to educate community about what redistricting is, why it matters, and how it can potentially impact students and families. And I know that they're already been, distributing it at community events and in schools, and sharing it with nonprofit partners to really get the word out about how redistricting can create a more unified approach to supporting City of Wilmington students. They've also been very active and engaged at several community events. The Office of Educational Advocacy hosted their interagency convening last Friday, which convened over 30 community partners, nonprofit leaders. They've also presented, Helen Anderson and Dr. O also presented at the Wilmington City Council's Education, Youth, and Family Services Committee. And Kendra Brown, PACE president, has also hosted a series of parent engagement dinners. And so the one on September 29th, I know that Senator Lockman and representatives from the WLC and the Community Education Building and Scholars Turf presented about some of the topics that impact city families and how to best support and educate caregivers, parents throughout this process. And they're also presenting at a lot of school events as well. And I also know that Kendra Brown is on as well. If Kendra, I don't know if you want to come off mute and share a few words, or if not, that's okay as well. But I just wanted to offer you the opportunity.
No problem. Thank you. So I don't have too many updates on Dr. O and Miss Helen, what they're doing. I know they do a couple of things while I'm at work in the daytime. So they have a couple more things coming up that we can get you sent out through email. But this Monday, the 27th, the Parent Advocacy Council will be having the parents come up with pros and cons for each of our redistricting options, and trying to give the parents more insight about what's going on now and letting them actually have their voice heard, letting us know what they think about each option and either how they would go or vote. So, yeah. And we will be doing public comment awareness. So they plan on coming the 28th and November 6th to see and hear what's going on and to make public comment. And with that being said, is there any way that we can make a section for public comment on the website? I know we don't usually do that, but I think we're going to have more parents and community members coming out as we continue to move forward. And I think it'll be good to have the public comment on the website so you can do that beforehand if necessary.
Hi, Kendra. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for your leadership in a lot of these parent engagement efforts. That's definitely a topic that we can bring up with the Redding leadership team. And I know that, while we formally offer public comment at all of our meetings, we also have a Solutions for Delaware Schools Gmail account that we can also share in the chat as well, that we offer members of the public if they want to offer any comments or feedbacks about any of the options or things that are being considered, that they can share that as well. But definitely, I think in terms of thinking about having sign up for public comment beforehand, we can work on thinking through that and potentially adding that as well. So thank you for elevating that.
No problem. Thank you.
And then I just wanted to share kind of a high level overview of the parent engagement one pager. So this kind of shows an overview of how redistricting can fix kind of addressing some of the issues within the current 4-district system to better support City of Wilmington students. And we thought it was really important that it explains this information in a very accessible way to community members and how this process can help create stronger, more unified communities. And so the one pager has an overview of the 3 options under the consideration, the current registering timeline, and then some frequently asked questions that we've received from parents, caregivers, guardians, and community members about the process and how that can impact students and families. And for this next section, I'll turn it over to Councilwoman Cabrera.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elena, and my co-chair, Stephanie, for the presentation thus far. We will now review and discuss as a subcommittee the redistricting options for consideration. On slide 39, redistricting options for consideration, and we'll have a discussion on this. We're going to review and evaluate the distinctions between the three options. We're going to allot 15 minutes per redistricting option. That way we could have a 45-minute discussion in total, and we'll discuss these distinctions based on the community feedback we've received. The Community Engagement Subcommittee assigned stipulations can be used as a framework to guide this discussion. In slide number 40, these are the stipulations for redistricting, as we have shared before. Here are the assigned stipulations that the Community Engagement Subcommittee is tasked with addressing as part of the consortium's redistricting planning process. Slide 41, reviewing and evaluating the potential redistricting options. So we can get started here with option 1. What distinguishes this redistricting option from the other potential options? Brandywine and Red Clay Consolidated School District. The Brandywine and Red Clay Consolidated School Districts divide responsibility for the education of all students within the geographical boundaries of the city of Wilmington. As an example, what we called the River Plan. And then do we want to start discussing this now, or do we do it after I present all of them?
We can go through each one by one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go through each one and then we'll come back to have the discussion.
Yeah. So since it's over Zoom, we'll just have a full group discussion.
Okay, good. So slide 42 is reviewing and evaluating the potential redistricting options. What distinguishes this redistricting option from the other potential options? Northern Newcastle County Consolidated District. It consolidates the district serving Northern Newcastle, comprising of the city of Wilmington, the city of Newark, and all suburbs north and west of the city of Wilmington, not including the Appoquinimink School District unless otherwise proposed. This option consolidates all 4 districts serving Wilmington, Red Clay, Christina, Brandywine, Colonial into 1 district. Slide 43, reviewing and evaluating the potential redistricting options. What distinguishes, option 3, what distinguishes this redistricting option from the other potential options? Metropolitan Wilmington District. It consolidates the districts that would serve students within the geographical boundaries of the city of Wilmington and the Brandywine and Red Clay school districts. This option would consolidate Brandywine, Red Clay, and the city of Wilmington into 1 district. Okay, and then we can go into having the discussion.
Yes. So if subcommittee members would like to offer their feedback and comments, this is mostly would be kind of informed by some of the community feedback that we've heard thus far, and then also some of the feedback from subcommittee members about kind of the distinctions between each of the options as well. So we'll start with this one, and then after 15 minutes, we'll move to the next one.
I want to start with one quick question, Elena. Option number 3, the Metropolitan Wilmington District. I don't see Colonial in there, but I do see Colonial in the Northern Newcastle County Consolidated District. So even though I guess it falls what we would say the geographical boundaries of the city of Wilmington, which is really weird how some neighborhoods, like I lived in a neighborhood where half the block was Colonial, the other half was Red Clay, which was crazy. Would Metropolitan include Colonial, or are we saying no, that only Northern Newcastle County would include Colonial, even though the Colonial is within the district, the city geographical lines described in Metropolitan?
Yeah, so for the Metropolitan Wilmington District option, that would just be like that states here, it would just be Brandywine and Red Clay, and then the surrounding city suburbs, the surrounding city geographical line in the city of Wilmington. I know currently Colonial doesn't currently have any schools that are in the city of Wilmington, but they have about 200 students that attend schools there. So I believe it wouldn't include Colonial for this option. So I just wanted to clarify that, but they would be included in the northern Northern Newcastle County Consolidated School District
Okay, good.
as being
So,
consolidated under one.
so
Wow.
Metro would could include the feeder colonial portion of the city, which is the 243 students, of which 43% currently attends colonial schools. Although they don't have any geographic or no schools in the geographic boundaries of the city of Wilmington. In essence, the metropolitan would include all of the city's geographic boundaries would fall into the metro.
Including those 240 students, give or
Correct.
take. Perfect. Okay, that's what I was under the understanding. Wanted to make sure that we were still moving forward with that. I mean, my feedback as a co-chair and working on this and the meetings that we've had and the retreats that I've been able to attend, my personal feelings as a parent of someone here and having lived on a block where half of it was colonial, the other one red clay, which was crazy. I'm in favor of that metropolitan um, Wilmington district. You know, and of course, we're here to discuss that. But my reasons are it really does keep everything geographically in one area, which I think best serves our students when it comes to close proximity to their homes, to not spending so much time on buses going back and forth to Newark. It allows them to not have to, I mean, to just be closer to home, to be able, if they miss the bus, to get to the school and not be so separated. I just think that that for me as a parent and as a community leader makes the most sense. So those are my 2 cents on the Metropolitan Wilmington District over the other two. And others can chime in during this part. We're having a discussion on all of this, so feel free to raise your hand or chime in as you want to give feedback. Am I still on? Are people still with us? Hello?
Yes.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just said it's very silent, so no one wants to give feedback. No one wants to discuss these. Any questions, any comments, I mean, how do you feel with one over the other?
I am comfortable with talking about um I guess reasons why I would pick either or, but I'm not comfortable really giving a preference of which option I'm going towards right now.
Yeah, whatever feedback you want to give back, you don't have to pick an option at this point, but you can discuss the pros and cons as everyone is still probably trying to decide what would work best for our children. But please proceed with your feedback.
Um, I feel like this one is one of the better options. But I just don't know how strong we're gonna be able to withstand it. So I am concerned about that. Um,
When
yeah.
you say this one, do you mean the metropolitan or the
Yes.
northern?
Metro,
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's the one
A-
on the screen. I'm
And
sorry.
your concerns when you say can we withstand it? Like what are some of your concerns that you see that could be problematic on this choice?
I mean, the fact that the fact that it's just Wilmington and we not just Wilmington, but it is the outskirts. Um, I guess that's just the only thing that I'm nervous about is Wilmington being deprived like it is now. Um, even within having a metro Wilmington district. I guess that's my only concern or scare or whatever about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this this choice.
Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. And that is one of the reasons that we all decided that it would be best to eliminate just a city school district, which a lot of people were pushing
Mhm.
for. They wanted Wilmington to just have its own school district, but we realized that we don't have the affluency in the city of Wilmington, a city that is majority, in the poverty level. that it wouldn't support the schools, the programs, and our children wouldn't get the resources that they need. And then it would be an underserved school district, which is
Right.
why the Metropolitan Wilmington District is inclusive of the Brandywine School District, which tends to be more of that northern Newcastle County, where there is more affluency, which is what we look at would balance and offset the poverty levels in Wilmington. But your feedback is exactly why we eliminated the choice of a City of Wilmington school district for those very reasons that you just stated.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I
And very
guess the
valid.
question is that within that is, will the remaining, and would that be enough? You know what I mean? Would that be enough to really sustain? I mean, I want it, but is it enough?
So just for conversation, and again, the distinction with the Metropolitan School District is in essence, you're also combining the suburban portions of Red
Right.
Clay and Brandywine along with the city of Wilmington. So the idea is in essence, you're removing Colonial and Christina
Mm-hmm.
and combining Brandywine, Red Clay, and the city of Wilmington into one. So
Right.
that idea of the existing structure between Brandywine and Red Clay would also change, taking into account that with Neighborhood Schools Act,
Mm-hmm.
Brandywine still has its deseg order in place. And so, rebalancing not only the city portion, there would have to be some alignment between suburban Red Clay and Brandywine as well under this model.
Thank you for that additional feedback. Anyone else? This is the time to express your concerns, because when we go into the retreat and the greater public, we have to be prepared to sell whichever idea it is that we end up coming into agreement with. And this is when we want to hash out the concerns during these subcommittee meetings. Any other feedback from members? Concerns, maybe the other two districts? You see pros and cons on those that you like to bring up?
This is Ray. Just trying to recall from any of our subcommittee meetings or public comments, have we identified anything unique about either of the models that presents a unique advantage or disadvantage on doing it? I know there was a number of comments at one of the committee meetings, but I don't remember if there was anything that stood out as a unique advantage.
Elena, do we have anything that we noted that anyone brought up? I mean, I can tell you right now, the busing was one major issue. The amount of hours that our children spend on a bus to get to and from school. They're basically getting up and they're at the bus stop when it's dark, especially when daylight saving time kicks in. That we heard from parents, from educators, children being tired at school because they're up so early. And then they have all those extracurricular activities they participate in, and they're coming home so late because of the busing issue. So that was one big thing that I thought was a recurring topic that came up across why we would want to keep this side of the river for the Metropolitan Urban League versus crossing the river and going south.
Got it.
Anyone else, please chime in. Elena, my co-chair, any of the other members, what we've heard from the educators and others in the groups.
Yeah, so I will say also during the June subcommittee retreat that AAR had presented some modeling data that looked at several different variables in terms of student performance or outcomes under which of the district options that we're currently considering, and then other things in terms of years of experience for teachers and other variables that I know that we had reviewed at the retreat in terms of the modeling information, and then at their co-interpretation event presented some data about the social drivers and those impacts. So like how, like you were saying, Councilwoman Cabrera, how transportation affects students in relation to the social drivers. I know Haley had put in the chat as well information about some of the student enrollment patterns, and how those are heavily skewed towards northern Newcastle, northern parts of the 4-district system, and how, as we highlighted earlier during the presentation that during the 2024-25 school year, that 84% of students residing in the city of Wilmington attended either traditional public schools or charter schools that are located in Wilmington city limits or in the northern parts of Red Clay or Brandywine. So, I mean, in terms of thinking about the stipulations, and one of the things that we have to consider is what is minimally disruptive as the options for redistricting. We think that that's kind of something that would be important to consider. That few City of Wilmington students are currently choosing to attend schools in that portion of Christina and Colonial that are outside of the City of Wilmington. So those are some of the key points as well. And thank you, Haley, for elevating that.
I know in that we have some comments in the chat. Ms. Ray Jones, if you're still with us, if you would like to speak on your comments, if not, I can share them with the greater group. Is Ray still with us? Yes, she is.
I'm here. I don't. Good evening, everyone. I was just
Good
trying to
evening.
be, efficient since the time got interrupted. So, well, Darrell has already clarified the question that you raised around the metro and its relationship is specific. That proposal is specifically about the students that currently are in the district versus the consolidation of all 4 districts. So he already clarified that. We have had, oh my goodness, an awful lot of feedback, and we will continue to get more because it's never enough. But what we've heard so far is about the river plan continues to divide Wilmington students from 4 to 2 districts, that proposal. And the preference that we're hearing is no further dividing lines for Wilmington students.
Yes, excellent.
And
That is-
then, what you say? I mean, each one has its advantages and its bright spots and some continuing or persistent kind of challenges. One bright spot of the Metro Wilmington proposal is that Wilmington students will have an identity. They've been stripped of their identity, which has residual effects around social cohesion in the community. So there were stated preferences around a model where that identity can be restored. And also because of it pushes into the suburbs, the proposal, the students would also have a broader range of school choices. Again, you already had that in the earlier slide about concerns around Wilmington students getting muted in a large Newcastle County school district proposal.
Those are excellent points. Yep.
And I do,
So
the last thing I would like to say is the AIR report. There were questions earlier on, like, what does this have to do with redistricting? What do social drivers have to do with redistricting? Everything. But you can't make the connections until you actually see the findings in writing. And the youth PAR survey and their feedback is very powerful. So my suggestion is that you might consider inviting them to one of your meetings, the young people themselves.
It's a great idea, because I'm wondering that have we even engaged, even if it's our high schoolers who tend to be the ones that have those ungodly hours that they have to start and they're more engaged in after school activities, having them give some feedback on how they feel. Now, I know that one of the issues that also was mentioned is that some people choose to go outside of the city and choose to go to a Glasgow perhaps or a Christina. So I guess would school choice be still available to those students who may not want to be part of the Metropolitan Wilmington district? And the reasons why, they can give their reasons. But first, I agree with you, Ray. Maybe we should have a focus group that really speaks to the students and hear from them, since they're the ones that are affected. And it is the students of the future that will reap either the benefits or the hardships of whatever decisions we make now, as we move forward and hopefully making this change once and for all, getting it right after all the multiple failed attempts. So I like that idea, but they can still choose to go outside of the metropolitan Wilmington school district if we end up adopting that. Correct? Am I correct in assuming that people can still choice out?
Yeah, that's our understanding. It doesn't change the law.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, you know, there's a whole list of barriers to choice. So more than just redistricting needs to happen in order to make the choice, the application of choice. I don't mean the physical application, but the choice opportunity more equitable, because it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'll
Um,
just add a few comments here, just listening along the way. So yes, school choice is a law and it would still be in play. I think Ray mentioned earlier about identity, and I think that piece, you know, is valuable to a lot of folks. And so we do have to consider that two of the options has districts losing their current identity, right? So back in 78, we were the Newcastle County School District. By 81, we had broken up into 4. And so a lot of people are drawing parallels. Well, we tried that before. That I'm, you know, hearing those kinds of things. Also keeping in mind that that's a 50,000 student school district, the Newcastle County School District. The metropolitan option is a 30,000 student school district in Delaware. So just pointing out a couple of things as I'm listening to what people are saying and trying to add some factual information and things that I've heard along the way.
Thank you. Thank you for the input. Anyone else from the committee? Because we will open it up if we do have anyone from the public that would like to give comment, but we definitely want to hear from our committee members first. Okay, not seeing any hands or anyone jumping in.
And just,
Okay, go ahead.
Councilwoman Cabrera, just, I
Yes,
think
sir.
the other thing too with, well, two things, you know, the idea of a Wilmington High School needs to be part of the continued discourse, because I think that was one of the stipulations, not so much for Reading, but when we talk about redistricting, WLC was one of the Wilmington Learning Collaborative focuses. So I think that that needs to be part and parcel when you look at, again, removing particularly the Christina portion. What does that do in terms of balancing out the existing high schools and whatever option that we do choose? And if you have a northern Newcastle County combined school district, how does VOTEC in essence then, because you're looking at a singular district, but how does that align with the existing with that new framework of a combined Newcastle County school district?
Very good. Good points. Thank you for bringing that up. Anyone else? Okay, not seeing any hands raised. Do we have any members of the public that would like to either ask questions or give feedback as part of this discussion?
Councilwoman Cabrera, I would say before we go to that, are we
Okay.
able to maybe just talk about the, I know that we touched upon it a little bit before, but in terms of feedback, specific feedback, in terms of the Northern Newcastle County option, I know that we've heard some feedback, but I guess more dedicated time to that, and then we can also talk about the Brandywine and Red Clay district option too. If
No,
there's
I
like
thought we
more
were open
specific
to all
feedback
3
on-
districts being discussed and people chimed in as they wanted. But yes, if there's any conversation around either one of these 2 other options, pros and cons that we want to give feedback on, not making assumptions that the Metropolitan is going to be the one we choose. But we did have a lot of discussion on that. Does anyone want to give feedback, pros and cons on the Brandywine and Red Clay? To start out with, and then we can move on to the Northern Newcastle County, or you can chime in on either one. I don't see anyone jumping in. Does anyone have any strong feelings about pros and cons with either one of this? Kendra, I know you were a little concerned about what the metropolitan version would look like. Do you want to give any feedback on any one of the other two? Were you more comfortable with them, or thought maybe that they would, you know,
Um,
be more inclusive of the issues we brought up?
the northern Newcastle County, to me it does give more centralized leadership and accountability. um, when it comes to the whole leadership problem that we have in districts not kind of, or is, districts not being able to really work together and communicate, that just definitely merging them definitely solves that problem. Um, my only concern with that, just like most parents I'm hearing from, is that um, they're concerned that Wilmington will get lost in that. And I heard somebody saying that. So if that was chosen, I strongly, even to make my choice, I strongly just need to know, if that is the option. If that is the option, will we have some type of protection for Wilmington in place?
Okay, thank you for that. When you say protection, what do you mean by that?
Meaning, will we have some type of governance or leadership specifically for Wilmington, making sure that Wilmington is being treated equally,
Mm-hmm.
like it's not now?
Okay. Okay, I get it. Make sure that it's fair across the board for Wilmington as well as the other areas.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's getting late.
No, I get it. And since this meeting was going to end at 8 o'clock, I mean, depending how much more discussion we have and opening it to the public, we might be close to ending at that time, considering our half an hour disruption earlier.
Okay.
And I think that's a great point. So we need to also, this is Ray Rhodes. We also need to consider, what does the governance structure look like? How does the school board makeup look compared to how the other school boards look now? Will they be appointed? Will Wilmington have a certain amount of opportunities to get representatives based on number of students, et cetera? So we need to consider that. In addition, I think it's been mentioned before also, we also not just think about the redistricting, but also a student achievement. And how do we put more focus on student achievement, no matter which districts we have and what they're named?
Excellent. Yeah, those are two excellent points that both you and Kendra brought up in terms of representation. I think that's important because too often our voices, many parents and children feel, and leaders feel, that Wilmington voices are not being heard in the bigger picture when it comes to making decisions for our children. So I think that's an important point, Elena, that we should jot down in further discussion as we move along, because we still don't have anything set in stone. How would the makeup of the boards look like? What would the leadership look like for any one of these three choices, whether it's Northern, Brandywine, or the other choice here? Sorry, my page just left here. Yeah, how would that look like? The Northern, the River, and the Metropolitan. So we can make a note of that. That would be great.
Yes, and I'm compiling all the notes as well.
Yeah, Brandywine and the red clay. If we did that, how would that look like? How would the makeup of the board and Northern and Metropolitan? Excellent points. Anyone else? Any other points that you want to bring up before we open it to the public? So we can get you
Just
out of here at a decent time.
quickly, my understanding would be that with Red Clay and Brandywine, they would maintain their individual districts intact with that current existing boundaries option. And then the other piece I would ask is, if we move to the metro option, to Dr. Green's earlier point, would we move to a neighborhood schools plan, or would we adopt Brandywine's integration plan into Red Clay? How would that work? Is Brandywine merging into the larger, or would there be a reverse?
Excellent point, Elena. Let's jot that down as well.
Yes, I got that as well. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you for that. Very good feedback. Anyone else? Okay, not seeing any hands. Are we good to move on to public comment now, Elena? Do you think we have enough feedback?
Yes.
Oh.
And if folks want to offer additional feedback too, you feel free to reach out. I know that Haley dropped in the chat the Solutions for Delaware Schools Gmail account as well, so that you can send your feedback and comments there and for the Redding Consortium. So we'll now move on to the portion of the meeting for public comment. So for public comment, you'll have 2 minutes per individual and 3 minutes if you're representing an organization. And I'd ask that you please just raise your hand and and type your name into the chat, and then I'll allow you to do your public comment. But it looks like John Reed has his hand raised.
Yeah, I just it's not really a question, but a comment, but with the greater Newcastle County District, I've always wondered why Newcastle County VOTEC was not included in that. Because if you're going to have one entity over Newcastle County Education, in my personal belief, Newcastle County VOTEC could be part of that. So the kids in regular ed would have more access to maybe half-day programs and part of that. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Is there any other member of the public who would like to offer public comment? Again, please raise your hand and let us know. Thank you.
Are you able to see if there are people from the public? Because I know I can't, I don't, but you had people in a room before you called all them.
Yes.
Do you see other
no,
members?
I
Okay.
don't see any other members that have public comment.
Okay, so that might be this portion. So, if we don't have any more public comment, then this particular part, we are going to, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Elena, and to go over the next steps and recap. Or do you want me to finish that up? As the subcommittee co-chairs, we will work with staff to compile all the community and subcommunity feedback into a report, and we'll report that at the Reading Full Body Retreat on October 28th, which I hope you will join us. We will discuss the 3 options with the other 2 subcommittees and work on building consensus. Do you want me to continue, Elena?
We can share a quick recap. So we have some upcoming meetings as well. So the Discretionary Recommendations Committee is going to be meeting before the retreat and just approving any outstanding resolutions that they have that they're considering as a committee. And then, of course, as Councilwoman Cabrera had already mentioned, we'll have our full body retreat that'll be in person, and that's going to be at the Deltec Wilmington campus. And we hope that you're able to join us. That'll be from 5 p.m. to 8:30. And then we'll have the next Redding Consortium full body meeting, which will be hybrid. That'll take place on November 6th as well. And so we hope that you're able to join us for that meeting as well.
Great, thank you. All right, so at this time, we want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us. Again, our apologies for what happened earlier. I think I've heard of these things happening, but when it happens, you're like, wow, dismayed. But I thank you for sticking with us, and we are ending on time. If my co-chair doesn't have anything else to say, Ms. Stephanie, if you want to add anything else before we close. If not, if we're good, then we will see you hopefully at the next meeting, which would be October 28th from 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. We encourage that you let the public know, anyone that would be interested, that has questions, please have them come, have them participate. We'd rather hear from them now instead of after we come up with a plan and people say that they weren't included. And we'll follow up on hearing some of our young voices as well. And we thank everyone for joining us this evening.